Hello, hello. How's everyone? How's everyone? Thank you for being here. Another episode today. Travel data, 3 at 3. So we have here Dr. Joe. He's an international speaker, very good friend of mine. And he loves travel. Of course, he's traveling all the time, doing his speaking engagements, and he's also he's also a chief technology officer for his company, and he's here with us talking about travel data. We also have Barrett. He's from the Ritz-Carlton Yacht Club collection, and he knows a lot about travel too. Worked with the Universal Studios in Florida, so he's very good with travel data. That's what he's here today. And our very own Sidney from Data Meaning, or he's a principal consultant here at Data Meaning. Also work with a lot of Hilton data, a lot of travel data, and he's here to go with us with this travel data. So if you've never been on the show, we're gonna have 3 different visualizations that we're going to show today. Each one of us have one, but none of us have ever seen these visualizations before. And the idea for us is to, talk about these visualizations. What are we seeing in this visualization? How can we make them better? And if you're in the chat, you can also participate with us. So I have my China hat here. I always wanted to go to China. Dr. Joe, what will be your dream vacation? What have you ever wanted to go that you have never been? What will be that?
My dream vacation.
Uh-huh.
I would be delighted to take my wife on a Mediterranean cruise.
Nice. Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. What about you, Brad? What will be the one that you have not done yet?
Oh man, my bucket list vacation has always been Australia, New Zealand. I just can't get myself to go on that 18-hour flight to get over there.
What about Sydney? Where do you wanted to go? Where's the one that you wanted to go next, Sydney?
My dream vacation is going to Israel. And
Israel?
Yeah, I'd like to know Israel and also Greece.
Nice.
So they are on my top list. Actually, I'm planning for that trip for the next year if things are back to normal.
Awesome. I love Greece too. I love Greek food and all that stuff. So I wanted to tell everybody thank you for being here, like I said, and I think that we could start with Brad. He has great visualizations for us today. So let's start with the visualization from Brad.
Awesome. So even though I'm working in the cruise industry now, I am a pilot. So I had to look for some aviation data. So, with my time at Universal, worked a lot with Orlando International, really has a whole kind of analytics arm. So not many people know that. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, here is something they put out. It's called their stats board. When I saw this, I'm not going to lie, my eyes kind of hurt at first a little bit. But I guess this is something they put out, once a month. It looks like, down in the bottom corner, you can see that it was updated end of October. They're going to update it, or end of September. They're going to update it again in October. And really, it's just kind of giving all their stats about Orlando International Airport and how it's growing, and kind of just a lot of information on here. So the few of the things that stand out to me from the beginning are obviously the colors, right? The bright green. So they use a consistent color palette, but that green is bright. And then there's some other things too of just trying to figure out what it's trying to say. Like down here with the family, I'm not even sure what O&D stands for. And there's nothing really saying what it is. I mean, I can make some guesses, but I'm not really sure. And then, some of the things here with the airport rankings, they have this picture of the Earth in the background with, I mean, they're not really referencing it all. It's just kind of a picture of the globe back there. But I do think there's some cool information just knowing, 88,000 passengers per day, 27th largest airport in the world, here in Orlando, and just how many people come through the airport each year. And then too, how much it's grown over the last, the last couple of years. So definitely some really cool information, just a lot thrown at you at once for sure.
What do you think, Joe? I mean, first of all, Brad, I love it. I mean, thanks for bringing this one. I really like it. I really think this the type of things, we can talk about a lot and we can make it improve. So Joe, what do you think? What was your first impression?
Sure. Well, I'll have to agree with Brad. It's nice information. They've got a really nice color palette, except the green is a little bright. But to be honest, the first thing that hits me, it's whoa, in your face, way too much. It's more, I don't know, it's more like an infographic that perhaps would be best if they split it into two different into two different pages. And perhaps had a summary that would have the highlights and then these other details on a second page that you could click down into. The other thing I see is the use of the pie charts for holy snap, more like 9, 10, 11 different pie charts are great only if they're used for the purpose that they're intended to be used, and when typically you don't have any more than 6 or 7 at the very most slices that you are wanting to see to be able to tell the difference among those slices. But overall, if you have to ask, as far as the theme, right? What is the overall message that they're trying to give you, other than dang, Orlando has gotten big and it's gotten busy? Yeah, they have, right. But anytime you have to ask that question, what is it that you're trying to show? If you have to ask that question, you got problems. So that's my take on it.
So Sidney, what do you think, Sidney, that when you look at it for the first time, what got your attention?
Yeah, just like Joel said, too much information at the beginning, and then you try to pick up the information. One thing that caught my attention is the relation between domestic and international. So you got 96% of domestic and only 3.5 international. So I guess this is because of the COVID, I guess, right? So it would be interesting if we could compare this data with the data before COVID, just to see this relation, and how is Orlando performing after the COVID. But I agree with Joel. The pie charts are really crowded there. A lot of information, good information. I like it, but I would probably I would break it also in two different dashboards.
Exactly. Yes, I think there's way too much information, right? We're here. This is very interesting, Brad, that you have here 4 pie charts, no one or
right.
4.
I knew you guys would like that part.
Yeah. No, I really think that I'm going to send this to Steve Wexler after this show. I wanted to see what he thinks. Usually I will. But this is very interesting. I mean, I don't remember too many visualizations or even infographics that have so many pie charts. And then I don't understand. Well, okay, I understand now, but it took me some time. So the green is always trying to be used for international, and the blue background, right, we can see on the right side, is always for domestic. So they were trying to do that. Oh, this is the domestic, this is the international, right? So that they were trying to do that, and you can see it on the chart on the top again, the blue and the green. I understand they were trying to do that. At least I appreciate that there was not that many colors, but it's still very hard to read. I mean, the 2% on domestic passenger chair, I don't really know what that is. Brad, what do you think that is? The one that is close to Southwest. I'm not sure what that is.
2% of
the 2% on the
the other, the others,
Yeah,
oh, the older
others, others. Though you talk about that, like, I mean, and like up here, I've been trying to figure this out, what this AS1 and AS2. I mean, it seems like this infographic is meant for marketing purposes or just news releases or something like that, but there seems to be a lot of still, maybe because they're just trying to fit it all in one place, but a lot of like technical jargon or abbreviations, or because like here it makes sense, right? Between terminal A and B and between East and West security, but I'm still trying to figure out like what this AS 1, 2, 3, and 4 means, and I'm at a loss. So yeah,
could that be the terminals? How many terminals do we have in Orlando?
Well, it's A and B side, and I know there's some wing. That might be it. There might be the different arms they have. But I'm not sure. I do.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say. You know, that's another thing, right, Dr. Joe? It doesn't explain what this is. Where's the information specifically coming from? So we have here from the chat. There's someone that says, "Is in the passenger H sheet? It has no source at the bottom unless you're supposed to read this across 3 different sheets." Huh.
Oh yeah. And looks like, you know what, Aaron, I think you might be right. I think it is. I think it's the same source across all 3. So they just, because I was looking at that too. I'm like, oh, because I was about to comment how I actually like how they have, at least they have the sources for all their information on here, so you know where it's coming from. And I was about to comment that, oh, they must have cut it off or they formatted it wrong. But I think you're right. It's the same source across all 3, so they just split it up between all of them.
What is we don't know what OD means, right? No.
I still can't figure that out either.
OD, connecting average party size. No, I don't know what that is. No.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things that are kind of like difficult. Do you know what doesn't need? It needs something to say like how to read, right, Dr. Joe? Something like to say, how do I read?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of a legend that would somehow give you some indication as to heads or tails of what it is that they're trying to tell you and what the different things mean. So yeah, I agree.
Wow, that's interesting. So what else do you see, Sidney, that is confusing, maybe confusing to you, or that you didn't understand?
Yeah, so there's just as Joe told, when we look at an infographic like this, we want to know what is this story about. So what is this telling about, right? So I'm kind of still confused about what's the story there, what's the message they're trying to tell. So this is kind of confusing.
So there's somebody from the chat saying, in the annual operations section, I prefer to see some type of graphic to compare figures against each other. It's difficult to comprehend those numbers right off the bat. What do you think, Brad? What do you think about that?
So he's talking about in the annual operations right here. What was the comment again?
So they said, it said on the, I prefer to see some type of graphic to compare figures against each other. It's tough to comprehend those numbers right off the bat.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Because I mean, you can see this, right? So, you know, you see the comparison between passenger aircraft and all aircraft, and you know, with looking at this, it's a thing of like wanting to see it quickly. You know, this is almost a 50-50 split, and actually, oh, I get it now. So this must be a part of the all aircraft. So that's a big part too. And it took me that second look to get that that 244 is a subset of the 266 all aircraft. And again, without reading it through with you guys twice, I didn't understand that. So I can definitely see that something more to indicate that, you know, of the overall, that big of a portion is all passenger aircraft versus, you know, cargo and whatever else.
Okay.
Origin and destination traffic.
So gotcha. This is one of the things that I always say, Dr. Joe, about doing this type of engagement and the type of things that we learn something. So look, somebody from the chat is saying that OD means origin and destination. That's what it means.
No, makes sense.
Now makes sense. It could be origin and departure. Origin or departure.
Oh, gotcha. So that means, so that's where they're coming and going from home to their destination. They're not just passing through.
Okay. Let's see. So these are surveys. Okay. So it's like going back to the source topic. None of the survey sources list how many were surveyed. This could be 20 or 2,000 people. That's right. That's the thing with surveys, right?
There's no context.
So the context, how many people really answered this surveys, or how many people did they actually provided these surveys? Because we don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting. I really like the monthly passenger. That really got me interested. The one on top, because you can see that it started really low, right? We have COVID, but then it's really busy. And we live here in Orlando. I live here in Orlando, and definitely it's really, really busy. I mean, we're super busy. So it makes total sense that everybody's coming here to Orlando. I mean, we're expecting even more people here in the next couple months. So
You got the whole nother terminal being built right now, so
yeah.
definitely
Oh, wow.
huge. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. So what do you guys think about this, where you have the Spirit, JetBlue, all of that? What do you think, Sydney, about trying to understand this? This everybody's turning their head. Is there any way better that we can do this charts, the pie charts? Do you think that we should maybe change the visualization to something better, right?
Yeah. So pie charts with more than, for me, for more than 5 or 6 categories, I think it's difficult to read. So I would use another type of graphic or
Yeah.
chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bar chart can be, or
Yeah. Even a bar chart could be used here, of course. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely right.
But of course, in context of this infograph, because of the you have so much information, then the pie chart fits. If you had another bar, so it's beautiful because you have some bar charts and have pie charts all mixed. So it's a beautiful infographic. But of
Yeah.
course, I would rather see this in a bar chart.
I think too.
Dashboard. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think too, like, because I'm finding myself going back and forth between the two, trying to compare, right? So you see Spirit, you see JetBlue, Frontier are in both, which I think is interesting. So even something like a stacked bar, where you can see, these certain airlines are only in domestic, these certain airlines are in international. These have a big in both, so then you can see kind of the overall operation size of some of these carriers that do both and have international and domestic components. I think would be interesting.
Correct. So to what you're saying is comparing both of them, and even think about this, Dr. Joe. Maybe we can even provide something better. What is the variance between the two? I always said, like always people are talking about, hey, I'm going to show you that JetBlue is 21% on international and JetBlue is 10% on domestic. I think the important is the difference, is the 11% difference between the two, because that's what people want to know, right? Like that, the variance. What is the change over time?
That's exactly right, and that's something that you can do with taking the two pie charts and making it one single stacked bar chart. You can, if you want to use the logos for the different airlines, you can, because in the bar everything is oriented in one way. I keep going like this. Actually, bar can also be a horizontal bar chart. But I mean, as far as the geography, the configuration, if you're going to keep the same general layout, that bottom right corner, take out the two pies and replace it with a single stacked bar chart that shows the variance between the two. And that way you've got everything facing one direction, and you're not, doing this number to try to figure out. And I think one of the readers, I saw one of the chats that came through that said, yeah, that way you can make the logos a little bit bigger, because some of these you don't know at a glance what, yeah, there it is. Blow up the pie charts to be able to read the logos. I don't know some of the logos by glance. Well, better yet, if you replace the two pie charts with a single stacked bar chart, then you can see the logos for the different airlines. One, because they'll be bigger. Two, it'll be clearer. Three, you don't have to crane your head to see the ones that are at all different kind of crazy angles.
Correct. No, definitely. I think more than looking at it, I think that you can maybe with if this was an interactive dashboard, just starting with that Joe said, and taking some of this, and maybe you can reduce how many they are in here.
Yeah,
you have a filter that runs through different ones. For example, I can have a filter for passenger arrival and time, and I can probably have all of this in one page, but in an interactive dashboard, right? And I can reduce some of this, probably take all of this pie charts out and then replace it with something else that it's going to be so much easier to read.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is or even just have more of a flow, tell more of a story, rather than just throwing it all at you once. Okay, here's let's start with the overall passengers, and here's how it breaks out by month, and here's where they come from, and kind of flow it a little better to provide the information like a pattern that kind of makes sense, rather than, again, just shotgun blast it all at once.
Right.
Perfect. Anything else? No, this is great. This is a really good. I really like this visualization. So we have Dan from the chat. He said a percentage of total bar chart almost always outperform a pie chart. In my opinion. Thank you, Dan. Definitely. Let me see what else we got here. Oh wow. Okay, let's see. It says Aaron from the chat. He said, "You need those bands at the top, not in the upper left-hand corner." That's right. You are all mixing the domestic and international source all over the place. You have to look at one section, then find other correlation ones, and see how domestic and international is doing. Okay. So yeah, I got you. Yeah, you can definitely organize this better, right? I mean, you can have some call out numbers on top, and then maybe organize it by sections, right? Or make comparisons between the international and domestic instead of mixing them out like this. I actually think the airport ranking is important. It's hard to see it there, right? I mean, for me, when I was looking at this, Dr. I was thinking, hey, because I live in Orlando, I wanted to see how we rank, So for me, that was important, but it was hard to read. It's too small. And I don't understand what is the reason for the map in the back.
Yeah, right. You're not comparing with airports of other countries, That's why you would want the map.
Yeah. What do you think about the map, Sidney? We don't really need that map there. What do you think, right? Because it's not giving you anything.
Yeah, usually the customer that we have a customer that is a hospitality customer, and they use a lot of maps because they want to compare stays in different places of the world. So yeah, I think maps is a tremendous resource, and I would use that for comparing regions and airport size. But again, if it depends on what story are being told.
Correct.
So if you want to compare different places in the world, then it's okay. It's okay to have a map. But if you're not, you're only giving data about that specific airport, then it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to use the map here.
Yeah,
in the background, because it's not doing anything.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me see what else we got on the chat here. So this somebody said maybe add summary to highlight the biggest takeaways from the biz. Correct. Correct. There's no takeaway. And in the airport ranking section, I understand wanting to highlight the map, but with that small font, it actually obscures the labels. Okay. Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
He's right.
It's too small. Too small. Anything else anybody wants to say about this one in particular? And we can move to the one from Joe soon. Joe promised me he's gonna bring a really bad one. I think people their eyes are gonna hurt. They're gonna
you're gonna hurt.
Go red, right? They're gonna hurt your eyes soon. So get ready for oh my goodness. Oh no. We're gonna need to go to Walgreens and get something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about this, Joe. What is this? Tell me a little bit of something for us.
So as you're traveling, you're concerned about what the weather is like in different places, and people are concerned about climate change as well. Exactly. And as you're traveling in different places, you're wanting to know what is going to be the effect on these different components with each degree in Celsius of the change in temperature. But again, like that first graph, there is way too much going on here, right? You've got all these different risks that are being I guess KR must stand for key risk. There's nothing that tells you what the key risks are. When I first saw KR, I thought crummy rhetoric. I don't know. So And that's what the colors mean. That different risks are represented by each one. Okay, and so then they have this RFC business going here. What in the world? Where does that come from? And there are three of the global key risks are associated with RFC number 1. 7 of them are associated with number 2. The same 7 are associated with 3. If that's the case, what's the difference between 2 and 3, other than 2 is associated with extreme weather events and the other one is associated with the distribution of impacts, and so forth. So there is you've got all these the tractor, I guess, is supposed to be agriculture.
Agriculture,
Right, agriculture and so forth. And what is H and M and H and W and all these all these things. There's nothing other than, I guess, M is moderate, H is high, and very high. But you already know that from the color graduation. So evidently, this one here, this first risk, is more sensitive to that change in temperature than the others. Hence, the darker red shade, up at the top here, that comes into play more quickly than it comes into play with the next one, right? So
that's awesome. I mean, I think I want to say hi to my friend Pablo Gomez there in England. He's watching from over there from London right now. Thanks, Pablo, for being here. Pablo is a data visualization expert over there. He used to work in an information lab. Great content. He said, "Oh my, that biz." He said,
yes.
Thanks, yes. Pablo. Yeah, I mean, Dr. Joe,
there's way too much going on here.
He told me, I'm going to bring a monster. This is going to be a monster. It is a monster. I mean, this one is tough. I think the verb Brad, I imagine, Brad, that every time that you have to fly or have to go somewhere, you have to look at climate, right? Like the weather. It's really, really important. What do you think? That's great, right? Because it to be honest with you, every time
exactly.
I go somewhere, what did I do first? What did I tell my wife? Hey, what is the weather good? Is it worth going there? Right? Because Sidney, if you think about it, every time that we go somewhere, we're just looking at our phone, AccuWeather. Hey, okay, let's go. No, let's not go. So definitely, this is a great idea to bring something like this because climate is important. When you're traveling. So what do you think, Brad? What got your attention?
I mean, I will say I do like the use of the icons. I think they're eye-catching. I think it's a good way to convey the different groups and where they fit along the scales. That was the first thing that popped out to me. I actually quite like them quite a bit. Now, what they mean, where they are on those scales, I'm still trying to figure that out, like you guys were talking about. So, like, they're trying to throw so much detail on. I mean, power to them to try to fit so much in such one visualization, but it's taking me here 5-10 minutes just to understand what they're trying to say. And you have you have the 2 scales on either side. You've got the color scale, you've got the H's and M's, you've got it's 7 or 8 axes somewhat on this one visualization, right. Trying to pull it all together in some sort of matrix or something like that.
So Aaron Simmons said, check this out. The x-axis scales are not 1-to-1 because one is 0 and the other one it's 1, right? Or no, 0 and
it's a dual axis for sure.
Axis, yeah.
And that's why I was trying to read like which each axis is for. You
have to zoom to see it.
Yeah. So somebody said, with a quick look, I don't know that I understand the difference between the thermometers on each side. Yeah. So for industrial levels, and the other one, I don't know what it says. Yeah.
Oh, so it's relative to the different time frames. So the one on the right from the 1900s, and the one on the left is from the 2000.
Oh, okay. So they're different. Okay. So relative to different things. Wow.
Yeah. So the difference in the blue bars is just how much it rose between those two time frames. So it's basically setting the zero levels depending on which year you're comparing to.
Yep.
Yeah, I really think there's too many colors. I mean, all of these dots underneath, they're just way too many colors to follow. That it makes it so complicated to understand the global key risk, I think it's called. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
I like the idea of showing the risks, the weather change risks. As for instance, now they're discussing this COP26, I think it is, in Europe, right? They're discussing, gas reduction and all these policies but I would like to see in this graph what is the the major impact on the weather change, right? It's kind of, for me, it's kind of confusing to see what is the major impact. Once again, what's the story being told here? So is agriculture the most impacted it seems like agriculture is the most impacted risk.
There's more agricultural icons in there. Seems like.
And also human health. I can see human health on the second bar. That is down. But I consider agriculture and human health big risks with the weather change, I guess.
Yeah. So you see the agriculture is all the way to the top in the third RFC3.
Yeah, but if you can see that the icon agriculture is the three. So they got three icons
spots
on the same bar. It's kind of confusing
Right.
for me.
Yeah, it's down
Yeah.
here and it appears again. Here's another cardinal rule, in my opinion. Okay, when you guys were looking at this, we were looking at the title, right? You couldn't see what these icons here mean until I did this and scrolled up. So, and the only way you can see the whole thing is for me to reduce everything down to like 70%.
Okay.
And to me, if you are viewing something at 100% magnification, if you cannot fit it into one screen and you have to do some vertical scrolling to be able to see it, you've got too much on your graphic.
Yeah, you have a problem.
Right?
Yeah.
You have a problem. You can't see it. I have to either scroll up, or rather scroll down to see the title, scroll up to see the legend of the selected key risks.
The thing is too, and you talk about title, and something I want to bring up also is that the title, what is the title telling us? I'm going back and forth, right? The icons are key risks, but then they're on these gradient scales. Is that saying that they cause the issues, or that they're at risk to be harmed by the issues, or all it says in the top is it's a nature climate change? It's not saying impact of climate change or causes of it's not really telling us what it's trying to show us. So even now going through it, I'm still going back and forth.
That's a good point. You Brad interpreted it one way. I interpreted it the other way, as that they're being affected by it, or are they causing it? Are they more of a cause or less of a cause, more of an impact or less of an impact? It doesn't say.
But that's amazing. That's exactly where we're here, right? So to understand and collaborate with other people to see if this is something that I created, for example, then if I go through both of you and you said, hey, I interpret this way and the other people interpret this other way, there's something wrong and I have to fix it and make it better. That's amazing. And one of the things that I saw is Aaron had a very good point. He said, I didn't notice this. This is the other thing. I didn't notice this. He said that the color gradient from the bar is not equal. The first bar has more than half purple. None of the other bars are colored that way.
Yeah. But, it's interesting because I saw that too, but I think that's by design because they're trying to, again, show by RFC column, right? So those color gradients, the level of additional risk due to climate change. So you can show that, with RFC1, you get to very high with only a 2-degree change. With RFC2, it takes a lot more, and so and so. Right. So all that's telling me is that RFC1 is much more susceptible to get to very high much quicker. Now, what that means, I have no idea, but
me neither.
I think that's what it's trying to say.
Wow.
I read that too.
Yeah.
The color gradient is to focus on a specific kind of risk.
Yeah, like RFC 4 and 5, a 1 degree won't affect it at all.
Yeah. So Pablo said, if you're creating something like this, you're not my friend.
Oh, you didn't tell him that you were the ghostwriter on this, Yamil, and you did it for him?
No, I did not. I didn't.
And Joe, where did you get that information from? Where did you get that?
Where you got it from, Dr. Joe? Where you
From
got it?
getdolphins.com is
Get
is the source. And
So this is something that
that.
actually they use. It seems like in 2018, right? That's what I think it happened, and this is in the link here. It says 2018. So, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it seems. And then the other thing is, why is it one on the left is gray, and the one on the dark gray, and the other one on the right is like light gray? I don't understand what the reason for that either.
Right. They're differentiating that this is representing 1986 to 2005.
Okay.
And this is representing 1850 to 1900.
1900. Okay.
But yeah, why did they choose that? I guess because they couldn't use these gradients, because these gradients they're using on the bars in the middle. So that's all they had left.
Wow.
Yeah, and the site where I got this from is actually highlighting a bunch of bad visualizations, and they actually had this one as the worst.
Yeah, there is a site, really good site I use all the time, so everybody knows. It's called junkcharts.com.
I love it.
And there's another one. It's called wdfcharts.com. So you know what I mean. So that's another good one. Yeah. So there is someone out there, and they're a lot of fun. I mean, sometimes I go there and pick some up for just to visualize or to bring here. But this is great. So do you think that overall, Dr. Joe, will you just redo this visualization, maybe in a different way, right? Like probably use a different visualization, different colors, everything, right? This is one of those that you're gonna have to redo for inspiration.
I would to be honest, on the thermometers in the middle, I wouldn't do anything with the color gradation there. The problem isn't so much that, it's how all this much information, once again, information overload, just like the first one, right? You know, there were some really nice things that they're doing, and it looks like there's some really nice things they're trying to do here. But it just seems that it's just way too much going on in one place. You know, there's no indication as to drill down or whatnot. Perhaps the thing would be only to have the 5 in the middle with the 2, you know, comparing the pre-industrial the pre-industrial temperature changes on the right, and the post-industrial whatever changes on the left. And if you want to look at the global key risks, then click on something that'll take you to another chart that will show the relationship with the global key risks. Because you know you end up having to look in too many places and scroll too many times, or reduce magnification, increase. You know, you're doing this number all the time, you're going to give yourself a headache. I mean, I'm giving all y'all a headache by doing it. You know, right? You know, you got to do all that in order to understand it, rather than letting it stand on its own.
Yeah. I think that you see it from the chat. Also, Aaron said that if this was interactive, he will be curious to see how these things, so probably the key risk, are trending over time. Are they getting worse? Are they getting better? Things like that. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? If the agriculture, like Sidney said, is it doing better? Is it doing bad or good or bad? Or how's it that doing? How does that compare from one to the other? Here it's too hard to make comparisons.
You know, I think one really good tool against like something like this, where it's just too much at once, and I think it's really underutilized, is the hover feature that a lot of tools have when you talk about interactivity, right? So some of the things you could put in a hover to explain more, like, those key global key risks. If you hover over the color dots, maybe there's an explanation of what those are. Or, if you hover over an icon, take the H and the M confidence off the chart and put it in a hover. Things like that to really kind of clean up the visualization, but the detail is there if you need it on that second layer.
I really like that.
Excellent.
The other thing is the use of filters. You could use, some of the tools allows you to, build some filters, interactive filters that you can just filter whatever information you want to see. So like, just I want to see from the agriculture perspective, what is the impact there. So I would put some, filters in this dashboard.
Exactly.
To make it more interactive.
Correct. Or maybe you wanted to, if, for example, Sidney, you want to filter just the moderate or the high or the very high.
Yeah.
What is it? Just to focus your attention in just one thing instead of so many things.
Another thing is the technical language. Maybe this comes from a scientific article. So, but you take a look at RFC and what does RFC stand for? So it's kind of difficult. So I would change the language to something more human, So anybody can read the dashboard and see what it's talking about. Not only scientific or very specific.
Yes. Oh, that's true. That's awesome. No, this is great, because Joe, thanks so much for bringing this one.
Yep.
I know that Sidney have some that he wants to show, but this is great. Very, very difficult, to understand. I think this is great for a post on LinkedIn and see what people say. Yeah, that we can do that too. We can post it on LinkedIn later, and we can show that. Let me see. Aaron, you want to see? Is that the one? No, wait. The one for Sidney. Oh, okay, great. Oh, so the thing here. Okay, great. So Sidney, tell me a little bit about this one. Oh, Dr. Joe. Oh, you're back, Dr. Joe. Thank you. Tell me a little bit. What is this one? What is it? Tell us. No, we cannot hear you now. Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So this one is I thought this is very interesting because it's once you take a look at the dashboard, it's very clean, right? And I like this clean and the colors also. And it tells about what's the dependency on the travel industry, right? And because of COVID, some countries suffered more than other countries with the impact on the travel, right? Of course, countries like like Cuba, and or other countries that depend a lot on travel, they're going to suffer more. So this graph shows the GDP, which is the gross domestic product. So how much of the travel, how much of this gross domestic product is based on travel. So countries like this countries, they depend a lot on travel. In these countries here on the blue, I think it's blue or green, I'm not sure. They depend less on the travel, right?
Okay.
And the good thing is that when you come down, you can see the top 10 countries that most depend on travel in each category, right? So
awesome.
You have like Macau, Aruba, and you got Austria here. And when you hover over, just like Brad said, right? It's interesting because you have more information about what is the contribution to employment, for instance, and how much it generates. So in Austria, you can see that it generates a $29 billion of travel.
Tourism. Right? Okay. Wow.
And the bad thing is this kind of graph, which I think because you have to search for the country, So like if I want to search for the USA, I gotta go and South Africa. And I found the USA.
Gotcha. But I think
United
that you can
States.
highlight the country if you go to where it says
Yeah,
highlight. Yeah, you can do
yeah.
that.
I discovered that later. So so you can come here and say United States and
Wow.
highlight United States. So in United States,
Mm.
you have like 2.89% of contribution, which is not big, but in terms of money, it's a lot. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's more than, I mean, $619 billion. So
Mm.
compared to, let's say, Panama,
Mhm.
I mean, it's too much, right? So I think it's a very nice graph to show the dependency on the travel industry, especially now that we are facing this crisis. Um, and I found it very interesting. Of course, I would add some maybe some maps in a different dashboard
Mhm.
that I could, have a map where I could, have a visual map vision of the dependency on the travel in a world map, for instance. It would be nice to see, right? Um, but that's it.
Very, very nice visualization, I think. It's very easy to understand, you can understand fast. Macau makes total sense to me because, that's where all these casinos are.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Macau, it's most of what is in Macau are casinos. So it makes total
gotcha.
sense to me that they were suffering that much.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this graph, tells a whole story. I mean, countries that are really suffering with the travel. I was just reading something from the census that from the beginning of last year to October, there was a 70% of decline in international tourist arrivals.
Wow.
Okay.
70% of decline. So this is a big number. So for countries like on the left side, it's too
Mhm.
much, right?
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. This is very interesting. What do you think, Dr. Joe? You travel, you visit so many places in your travels. What do you think about this dashboard? It's pretty interesting, right?
It is. It absolutely is. It's relevant. Um, I think this dashboard achieves what many people want to achieve. Okay, it appeals to the head and it appeals to the heart, and by that I mean it's you have relevance and resonance going. Relevance appears to the head, resonance appeals to the heart. You appeal to
Nice.
the head with the information. You appeal to the heart with the contrast between them. This is an excellent top level. This visualization does what the other two do not and have not
Mm-hmm.
done, and that is by removing the issue of having too much going on the screen,
Mm-hmm.
by giving you the ability to either hover or filter and or both,
Mm-hmm.
by using colors that seem to make sense. Gradients toward one side being higher,
Mhm.
gradients toward the other side being lower. The ones in the middle are kind of faded because
It's
they're not
incredible.
as extreme. The
Mhm.
ones at the ends
Yeah,
are
perfect.
darker and deeper and more brilliant because they are at both ends of the spectrum. I agree with what Sydney said about the map. Okay, so if I were to, and I'm sorry, I think I'm jumping ahead to the
No,
question
no, no.
where we talk
Go
about
ahead.
how we would change it.
No, no.
Okay,
Go
I
ahead.
didn't want to mess. All right, so yes, agreed with Sydney. I would have a button or a link that would show a map view. And on that map view, I would show two things. You hit the map and you see a map of like a, not the, I was going to say Mercator. You don't want the Mercator whatever, a regular projection. I forget what it's called. um, and it shows the world. Okay. And then with some sort of, with that same color gradient from I don't know, Kelly green or whatever that is, to the orange on the other side. The countries that are within those gradients will be shaded in that color so that we can see which, on the map, which 34 countries have their, the depend on travel. Less than 2% of their gross domestic product depends upon travel. And you can see which 36 countries, are they adjacent to each other? Are they in a particular continent? Are they, and what is the intersection between geographically, what is the intersection between the faded ones in the middle and or the brilliant ones on the end, right? And then perhaps another layer would be some of the other information that you get when you hover on each of the countries. The dollar numbers and the whatever it is. Okay, so have another map or a filter on that map, right? The first map I talked about, right? You filter on that to show, okay, instead of showing overall the percent of GDP, we can start showing overall at some, using some color gradation of the dollar amounts, greater than, different thresholds, dollar amounts greater than X, less than X, or whatnot. And whatever the other two things were that they were showing. So have the map have several filters to show that different layer, because sometimes people are going to want to see geographically what it looks like at a global view, if you will. I'll be quiet now. I talked to you.
No. But I agree with you. I mean, I think I will still keep this one, and then your idea to have both.
Right. Now, don't get rid of it. This is excellent. This gives you an excellent overview, but just have the other one in addition to this one.
Yeah. Yours could be more for like digging deeper into some things. This is kind of like the first page. This is the executive level, right? Kind of like the high level. What do you think, Brad, about what are you looking here?
So I agree. I mean, I love this visualization. I love the storytelling at the beginning. It gives you kind of the overview of what they're trying to tell you. It tells you the source. I don't know if anyone else noticed, but I agree. I like the color gradient, and I don't know whether they found the image first or they found the image to match the color gradient, but the image colors actually match the color gradient also.
Yeah.
So that was a really cool touch.
I noticed that.
Nice. Yeah. I missed that.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I noticed that. Go ahead.
And I like the visualization of how many countries are in each category, and giving the bar charts to kind of show you in those top 10 how close they are together. Like, it's really interesting to see Macau being so much larger comparatively to all the others, where the middle grounds, they tend to be a lot slower, a lot less slope between the countries. So I think that's really interesting as well. And then kind of going in, so I did notice on the end there, they actually switched it to bottom 10, it looks like.
Yes, that's what Aaron said.
So that was my OCD kicking in just a little bit, noticing that they switched it to bottom 10 and didn't actually notate it or anything. I mean, I could get it, right, from, because it's the lowest section, you want to see top 10, bottom 10. But it's not notated anywhere, it's not labeled anywhere, because I was wondering why that was inverted like that, and then I kind of started looking deeper.
I didn't notice that.
So Aaron put that in the chat. He said, can't figure out, but I think that, Brad, you just said why, but can't figure out why the last column bar chart is sorted differently than the rest. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I have to do something with the. Yeah, they want to see the
sorting, right? The sorting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe even give the option of because I know with since this is interactive, a toggle between top 10, bottom 10 in each section, and the user can choose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I will say one other idea kind of I had, if we were going to add more to this one, Sidney brought up a good point with the size of the countries, right? So in that middle 2 to 5%, you have US that's 600 billion. You have some other country that's 5 billion. So there might be some opportunity with maybe the sizing of the dots. Size the dots based on the actual dollar value. It might get too messy. It's something to play with, but if I was going to kind of explore something, that can be my next step. So you can kind of visualize, okay, all these countries are within this section, but now you can kind of see by size of the economy how big they are compared to the others.
Or have a drop down, Dr. Joe, that says economies 1 billion to 5 billion, 5 billion
That's
to
true.
10
Yeah.
billion.
Yeah,
10
that'd
billion.
be good
go.
too.
Yeah.
So then I pick the one for like say 25 billion. Show me only the countries that are within that range or something.
That's true.
So
Yeah,
I
that'd be a
can
good idea.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Excellent idea.
Yeah. I like that. I like it. Sydney's great colors. Someone was making fun, said that this is like the Miami Dolphins.
That's okay.
It sure is, isn't it?
That's okay. It's all right.
That was funny, but no, but I love the colors. I think it's so easy to understand. I mean, it just gives you, all of those highlights on top, right? The 36, 22, 20, 34. It's just really fast. You can get it, right? Like really, so high level metrics, high level KPIs here. Easy to understand.
Mhm.
Easy to understand.
That's the
And it
whole
also-
idea. Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead,
the
go
whole
ahead.
idea. When you have an executive, they're more focused on the strategic, whereas those detailed oriented things, when you drill down, they're more focused on the tactical. So having this capability caters to both. I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it has a question. Look at how it says what percentage of countries' GDP is directly contributed from travel and tourism. So they started the visualization, and I always said this to a lot of people. If you can start your dashboard visualization with a question,
Yes.
because the idea is that you're answering the question after you have that question. So this is answering the question. So you understand the
Right.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like it. I really like it. Let me see if anybody from the chat, anybody else wants to say. I like it from. Okay, said that somebody said that the fonts on the bar charts to be a little bit larger for easier to read. Yeah,
That's true. That is pretty
that's
small.
Yeah.
true. But it's
I
still,
agree.
you can probably when you hover. What is the number? Is that it says Austria and there is a percentage? What is that percentage? Is
That is the percentage of the gross domestic.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you hover, you get the detail. You get that.
Yeah.
So it's
if you
rounded to
hover, yeah,
6.8.
you got. Yeah.
Wow. It's great. It's really good.
I was choosing between some of the charts. I choose this one, this dashboard, because
Mhm.
it's simple. I like simple, simple
Exactly.
stories, where you can get the answer really quick.
Exactly.
And then if you want to explore more details, then I would give an option like, click on these countries. I would take them to a map view of those countries, for instance. But in the first page, it's like a newspaper, right? It's just a summary of the information I want to give. Right?
Correct.
And I think Dr. Joe said it too. That's kind of how I always look at it, as kind of like a report, like a visualization hierarchy, right? You want to start with that high level summary information. Here's what the executives want to see. Here's what you just want to see at a snapshot. And then you kind of dive into the levels of detail from there. You don't want to throw it all at once like we saw in some of the other ones.
Awesome.
I think I like what you said, Sidney, about the newspaper. People. I don't think anybody under 40 knows what a newspaper is. It is a paper that has news on it, and it comes to your house, and you hold it in your hand. Yeah, no, the very first thing you see is the most important thing, hitting you in the face with the most important high-level summary, and then you can go to page whatever it is to get to whatever else you need. That's an excellent metaphor. Newspaper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is definitely kind of like a newspaper, right? So you can actually, if you think about it, you can do four more tabs of this dashboard. So imagine the first 36, then you do a tab for that one at the 22. You know what I mean? Like maybe, so here is the first one, and then I want to see all the countries between 2 to 5. Okay, let me go to that specific one, see more detail, and something like that. And I really like to see, for example, when I look at it, what brings my attention is I wanted to see by is it region, is it Asia, is it Europe, is it Americas? How do they compare? Who was affected the most?
Dr. Joe mentioned that too, and that's what I was looking at for those top ones. You see Aruba, Maldives, Virgin Islands, Bahamas. Okay, like is that all the Caribbean countries, or all is a certain region being hit really hard, or is it just countries here and there?
Yeah.
Correct. Very, very interesting. I mean, I was impressed seeing here Spain on the second, almost over there.
Yeah,
Spain.
5.9%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you compare Spain with Macau, it's uncomparable. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
50% of the GDP from Macau is from travel.
Wow.
So imagine the problem they had, right? Like Aruba.
Yeah, because they're full of casinos and hotels.
Yeah.
That all their travels are from Asia. So that's very interesting. No, this is great. I really, really like it, Sidney. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're pretty much at the end, guys. Unfortunately, I love to keep talking about all of this. We definitely like to keep talking about this. Just wanted to ask you. I mean, what do you think, Dr. Joe? Do you like the experience of talking about data visualization? What do you think? What do you think is the
absolutely benefit? Yes, sir. Absolutely. We're sitting here chewing the fat. We're sitting here just expressing our opinions and contributing, tossing ideas around. We each bring our own level of expertise and our own varying backgrounds and preconceived notions or whatever, and it's a nice mix that we have here to figure out what are the best ways to visualize data. How can we improve things? How can we tell stories with the data? What appeals to people, and how we can work together to make it happen. I love it.
I love it. Thank you. What do you think, Sidney? I know, Sidney, you're always with us in the chat.
Yeah.
Sidney always provided a really good, advice there in the chat. I said I wanted to thank you.
It was fantastic because I had to dive into this travel information. So, and when you are preparing for something, then you learn a lot, right? Exactly. And it's always amazing to be with all you guys, expertise. I'm always learning a lot, and there's so much to learn.
Exactly.
And data visualization, most of the people think it is something about the tool, right? So when people say, "No, I have the tool," and I've seen customers, they have most of the the major tools they have, but still they build weak dashboards, in the sense of not exploring these things, good visualization practices. So it's not about the tool.
Exactly.
So you can have great visualizations using Excel, for instance.
Right? Exactly.
So so great experience here.
Thank you.
Every Wednesday, it's a great experience.
And I know that Brad, we have talked about this before, but Brad, thank you for being here again.
No problem. I love it.
Yeah. I know that Brad is going to be with me with the beer one. We will have a beer next year, I think. Yeah, but no, that will be a very good one. You produce your own beer at home, right? Something like that. You said, yeah.
I do, yeah. So brew my own beer at home. Cicerone trained. So I'm excited to talk more. I'm always excited to talk about beer and airplanes anytime.
That's really nice. Well, thank you. No, thank you for. What do you think, Brad, about the ones that we brought today? Anything that you got new, or anything that you could think of doing this?
I mean, like Joe and Sidney said, I mean, I can't believe an hour is already up. You come up with so much things, and you can still keep talking about it. So it's and then it's so great to hear different perspectives on things, because like you said, I mean, there's stuff that I see that you guys don't see, and then there's stuff that you guys bring up that I never even would have thought of. So it's always interesting to see the different backgrounds of expertise and the different viewpoints come into play that you never would have thought of otherwise. So I love it. I always enjoy it.
That's great. And we always have people from the chat also that sometimes surprise us. I'm like, wow, I never thought about that. I didn't see that. So it's I think that's the thing that I got the most, is when every time that somebody from the chat brings something that we were like, wow. So the other day we had someone from the chat saying something, and Steve Wexler was in the chat, and he had a post in his blog about just that question from the chat. So somebody wanted to do something in Tableau, nobody knew how to do it, and he said, "I'm going to figure it out." So he created a blog post in his blog about that from someone that asked in the chat. So you never know when something comes in that it will be interesting for the community, that we can all learn something. So that's what I like about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And you can always take away from it and grow your own skills.
Exactly.
That's
But
right.
I just want to say, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. This is amazing. I love travel data, to be honest with you. I really love that data. And it was great. And thank you so much. And hope to see you. Anybody on next week? We're going to have, I think it's a military, Aaron. Is that true? I don't remember if it's military or not. Not sure which one is, to be honest with you, but I think it's military. But if not, we also have a sign up sheet for anyone that wants to sign up in the future with us. That will be something that if you guys want to be with us next in any future show. Yeah, next week we have military data, and just let us know. I mean, we have a sign up sheet. We're gonna put it on the chat here. And if anyone wants to participate, they're more than welcome. And we have, like, for every single week up to May next year. So we have many different topics, and anybody can participate. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you, everybody, soon. And you're all welcome to come back. And thank you so much.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Yamil.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Here.
Thank
All right.
you.
See you
Take
later.
care, everybody. Travel safe.
Yes.
Yes.